the next thing I want to show you here is actually marking up this video or this transcript with designations. So let me duplicate the screen so I can toggle back and forth like I've done previously from the deposition to more, settings, transcripts. And so let me quickly explain how I kind of define designations versus transcript issues. So designations are going to be more so the who, and the who is marking it up, what they feel is important, and when those markups are being made. So hypothetically, let's say that I am representing the plaintiff. I would go ahead and create a new designation type like I have done here and say that this is my first time going through here and I'm representing the plaintiff. I want to say what the plaintiff side believes is important in this transcript. And so I've created this plaintiff initial designation type. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that transcript. I'm going to mark up what I believe is important. And then I'm going to exchange that. I'm going to create a CSV format where it says page start, page end, line end for each of the designations that I've made. And I'm going to exchange that with opposing counsel who will give me something similar. And what I'm going to do is import their designations as defense initials. And you can kind of go back and forth. You could say, here are some objections. Here is my plaintiff counter coming back after the defense initial. And so that's kind of how I view designations, is these external markups that are shown to both sides to say, this is what we believe is important, or we believe to be truthful or pertinent to this case. And if you guys agree close enough, then you can say, okay, this will work for their testimony during the case. We don't need to bring this individual into the courtroom for the proceedings. And so that's kind of what that process looks like. Whereas these are external designations that are going to be shared. These are internal transcript issues. The way that I like to view them is like, these are things that you would not be sharing with opposing counsel. So let's say that this case deals with this is an interesting scenario I'm about to bring up. Let's say that this person was wrongfully, let's see, we could create one where it says, we could create a new transcript issue and say wrongful termination. And we make it a pink color and hit create. And so there's wrongful termination. And then the reason that they were fired was for bank robbery. They robbed the bank. So probably wasn't wrongful termination, but you could mark up any times that these issues were mentioned in those transcripts. And you can do that across all of your deponents. And this way you can run a report across all of the deponents to see where those issues showed up in multiple testimonies. And you can kind of use that to compare against, like, maybe 4 of these deponents said that it went down this way, this event occurred this way, whereas one other person said something completely different. And so maybe this is something that you could use to help identify where you could impeach them on their testimony. So these transcript issues are more so internal. They act the same way, and you can create them the same way as designations. When you're creating reports, works the same way, but just wanted to point out the difference in my mind and how you would use them. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go over to my transcript, and I'm going to click on what you want to do is click on the different type of designation that you want to create. So here are my designation types. Here are my transcript issues. What I'm going to want to do is click on, let's say I'm, again, representing the plaintiff, and this is my first time going through this transcript. I'm going to go ahead, click on that, and then go to the actual, where the examination starts on page 3. Let's say, okay, none of this is just all pleasantries, nothing important here. I'm going to go to page 4. Okay, this is where they start talking about the accident. What I'm going to want to do is hover over what I think is important And so let's say I think that it starts with this question. Notice that my mouse is over to the right of the actual text, and it's a black pointed arrow. And I click, you just have to trust that I'm clicking and it's not doing anything. You have to actually be over the text and get this like Mickey Mouse looking kind of glove. And when you click on the text, you'll see that these arrows show up, the green denoting where it starts and the red denoting where that designation ends. So this is right now saying page 4, line 2 to ending at page 4, line 2. And so let's say that I think this ends at when the answer, yes, it does, page 4, line 20. And I could type in my notes and say, details about the accident, and then hit submit. So now you can see this correlates, this blue correlates with the plaintiff initial type that I've created for my reports. And if I hover over it and actually click on it, it shows me the clip details, the location starting from page 4 to page 4, line 2 to page 4, line 20. It's a plaintiff initial designation type. And there's the note, details about the accident. The reason that it looks like a exclamation point next to it is because it contains a note. So if I were to skip to the next page and create another random designation, just hit submit, it's just going to be blue dots. And at this point, I can go ahead and browse my plaintiff initial designation types and say, okay, let me see this one. Take me to this one. And it also shows you that this is a 45-second runtime. This is a 57-second runtime on the video. So if I were to click this.
And what is the address of the company?
It starts playing it.
311 West Washington.
Were you a witness to an accident on May 8th, 2009?
Unfortunately, I was, yes.
You
And
could open this
what time
up
was it?
Around 3:30
and present it this way.
Okay, I'd like to hand you what's been marked as Exhibit 1. Could you please take a look and let me know when you've gotten yourself familiar with that document?
So I'm going to go ahead and escape on that. But it shows you the total runtime of all the designations that you've made for that designation type. It shows you the runtime for each one of those ones that you've created. You can jump to them. You can hit play. You can edit them after the fact. And this is where you could go ahead and once you finish, you could export that CSV that you'll exchange with opposing counsel and say, these are the designations that we made. And granted, this is only 2 designations. I would probably remove any notes that you made from here. Very easy to do, just delete them. But you'd see, okay, page start, page end, line end. And that's the basics of what you would get here. And then when you get something like this from opposing counsel, what you would do is you'd save it to you download it, save it to your local computer, and then bulk clip import and select the type. And so since it's from defense, you'll say this is defense initial type of designation. Select, choose it from your wherever you have it stored, import the clips, and it will overlay on top of your the transcript that you have.